Welcome back to another episode of the Proverbial Perspectives. I'm Yazhini.
And I am Simran. Today we are diving into a topic that's close to our hearts, especially as students: entrepreneurship.
Absolutely. They say the early bird catches the worm. In the world of entrepreneurship, starting early can give you a significant advantage.
Entrepreneurship during our student years might seem daunting, but it's also incredibly rewarding. There's a proverb that goes, "He who is afraid of failure will never succeed." Taking the first step, despite the fear, is crucial.
Absolutely. And being a student entrepreneur teaches us invaluable lessons. We learn to manage time, resources, and most importantly, our own expectations. There's a saying which goes, great oaks from little acorns grow. That means that starting small can still lead to something really big.
And let's not forget the skills we develop. From networking to negotiation, every experience shapes us into better entrepreneurs. Experience is the best teacher after all.
Of course, and the journey isn't without its own Of course, and the journey isn't without its own challenges. Balancing studies and a business can be tough. But as they say, when the going gets tough, the tough get going. And support systems are so vital. Having mentors and a strong network can make all the difference. It's it takes a village to raise a child, they say, and the same goes for building a business.
Yeah, it's also about resilience. They say, fall 7 times, stand up 8. Every setback is a setup for a comeback. The key is to keep pushing forward.
Nicely said. There's so many inspiring students that we there's so many inspiring stories that we know of student entrepreneurs who made it really big. Of course, there's Mark Zuckerberg of Facebook, and we all know that he started in his dorm room. Necessity is the mother of invention. These stories remind us it's possible to turn a small idea into a global phenomenon. The journey of 1,000 miles begins at a single step.
Exactly. So, what can aspiring student entrepreneurs do to get started?
Well, we'll have to hear from one of our very own lecturers of entrepreneurship. So let's go to the interview segment. Good morning, Dr. Binyam. Thank you so much for joining us today on our episode. We're really, really glad to have you. Just to start off, why don't we talk a little bit about you and what you do in the university?
All right, thanks for having me. My name is Dr. Biniam. As you just mentioned, I am a lecturer here at the University of Adelaide. I teach entrepreneurship and I research. And our role as lecturers is not just teaching, but also researching and engaging on some, community service staffs. But most of our task is basically teaching and research, and I research entrepreneurship and teach entrepreneurship.
All right. So just on that topic itself, what inspired you to teach entrepreneurship?
This is a really interesting question. I'm from a very challenging background, and my mom is kind of a master of creativity and innovation. She's just a brilliant woman. She is a master of doing things, creating things out of nothing. And I have when I grew up, I have seen those things, those magics, those creativity, innovation, how things can actually, change and transform when people use their mind. And I think that the seeds were sown there. And, as I took on my academic studies, when I went to school, I became very much interested in, creativity, innovation, and challenging minds, and, trying to find something new. That kind of inspired me. And I have seen how entrepreneurship actually transforms people's life. And that is, I would say, basically the major motivating factor for me, really, to keep on studying entrepreneurship and then to teach entrepreneurship.
All right, that's so interesting. Um, just because you mentioned your background and what inspired you to do this, I think this question would be well placed over here. Do you believe entrepreneurship can be taught? And do you think that it's something people just naturally possess?
Yeah, there is a strong debate when it comes to whether it's a nurture or something that we just inherit from from nature, or whether it's something that we can teach. If I believe that it cannot be taught, you won't be find me teaching entrepreneurship. I believe it's something that we can learn. And there are lots of skills. There are lots of ways of thinkings that could really help anyone to become an entrepreneur. And we have so many evidence, research that really backs up this kind of this claim. Therefore, yes, I'm not denying that there are aspects which you would actually get through nature. So our personality characteristics have their own role, and mostly they are determined, and they are influenced by nature. But there are so many things which can be taught, which can help anyone to become an entrepreneur. Therefore, even though nature has its role, but there is also a nurturing aspect to it.
Yeah. Yeah, nature and nurture, that's
Yeah.
so true. So, in that aspect, what do you think are some qualities that students need to cultivate if they want to become successful entrepreneurs?
And recent studies have shown that one of the biggest factor that really make anyone successful in this very competitive environment is basically having an entrepreneurial mindset.
Okay.
Therefore, I teach my students, I always tell them the starting point is basically to explore yourself, and to be able and to be ready to challenge yourself, and to be able to see things in a different way than other people see. Uh, you need to embrace that mindset, what we call entrepreneurial mindset. Basically, not to complicate things. It's just about like to be self-starting. You cannot wait somebody to do it for you. If you want to be an entrepreneur, if you want to succeed in life, you have to take the initiative. That's
Right.
an important aspect. Life is full of ups and downs, and you cannot just simply give up because you have tried once and failed. Therefore, you need to keep doing things even though you are being challenged.
Yeah.
That means we need to have persistence. That's part of an entrepreneurial mindset. And also, you cannot just think about today. If you want to become an entrepreneur, you have to see the long term.
Yeah.
Future orientation is important. These are the things that you need to kind of cultivate, so that you can have a kind of path that would lead you to some sort of success. Therefore, I always tell the students, whether they are from entrepreneurship or other disciplines, when you start to take entrepreneurship course, what you need basically is that mindset, openness to new experience, to and you get to be ready to challenge yourself. This is where you challenge yourself. It's when you challenge yourself, we believe there is something that comes out of it.
Yeah.
And it is beautiful, and it
Yeah.
is really powerful as well. Therefore, yes, if there is one thing that I have to tell everyone, just embrace entrepreneurial mindset.
All right. And like you mentioned, to have an entrepreneurial mindset, you need to see the bigger picture and think far beyond what you see right now.
Sure.
And it is going to be a journey filled with ups and downs. And you
Sure.
mentioned how tackling failure is going to be a key component in this journey.
Yeah.
So, what role does failure play in the journey itself of entrepreneurship? And how can students learn to embrace it?
Yes, that's a good question. It starts by admitting the fact that failure is part of the journey. Entrepreneurship is not a one-time activity, and it requires you to engage with lots of different stakeholders, and you are joining an environment which is characterized by uncertainty. Therefore, from the get-go, you have to know that you're gonna face obstacles. And when you admit that there is a challenge that I have to overcome at some point in the future, even though if it's not now, when you start, sometimes it might go smooth and you might think, oh, entrepreneurship is all about this. No, it's not. There are lots of things, there are lots of challenges that you have to overcome. Therefore, I would advise people, whether it's student, if they are students or not, just to admit that the challenge is tough. Okay, when you admit, when you tell yourself that there is something that you have to deal at some point in the future, you get mentally prepared, and that preparation would really give you the energy that you need to bounce back, to keep yourself going. Therefore, the starting point, it's basically a mind game. The starting point is basically to teach yourself to keep yourself grounded and to tell yourself there is a tough time, but that tough time, that's I need to overcome it, and I have to use it to my own advantage. We have seen entrepreneurs who had to go really those kind of episodes in their journey, but most of them came out stronger. Why? Taught them lots of different things which they would not get it from other experiences. Therefore, it's how we frame failure really matters. If you frame failure as something that would kill you and crush you, then it would crush you. But if you consider it, if you see it from a growth mindset, from an entrepreneurial mindset perspective, and if you believe that it is gonna be an opportunity to learn something new, then it would help you to become even a much better person. Therefore, the way you see, the way you frame failure in your mind plays a key role.
Seems like perseverance is very vital.
It is. Without perseverance, it's tough. Yes, it's tough. It's just as I've been saying. Basically, it's to have that in your mind. Just to say that I had to persevere. There is a storm, and then do I need to give up in the face of this storm, or do I have to find a way to make it out? Therefore, to do that, you have to have that perseverance, and perseverance is a fundamental thing when it comes to entrepreneurship. It's not just entrepreneurship, actually, for any challenging environment. I tell to my students these days, whatever that we teach you is not just to become an entrepreneur, but to be a successful person in any other domain, because every sector, every field of study now has significant challenges, and to overcome them, you need perseverance. Yes.
And as a lecturer, I'm sure you meet students every single day and have seen their journeys. Can you share some examples of students who have successfully launched startups while still at university?
Yes, I have few. It's challenging to be an entrepreneur while you are in university, but some really manage to start their own business. I think one of the good examples that we have, and that I always tell to my students proudly, is how Tooth Bob. I don't know if you have heard about them. There is a small startup which is actually they would start I think providing service soon, but they have really done some amazing work in terms of building an AI system which helps students to study their courses. The system kind of takes notes of lectures and helps students to engage with the material, and it generates questions, all those stuff. And they have developed this massive and massively helpful tool for students, and they have won almost all the competitions they have been into, starting from the e-challenge, and now they are on a testing stage, and they will be launched soon. That's one of the greatest example I can give. But there are some small businesses, which are not tech savvy, but which are also very much relevant and important at community level. And some of my students really started their own small businesses, and they are doing really well. But I think the shiny example is the Tutwell one, and they are really doing very well.
Okay,
Yeah.
all right. And in all these varied examples that you've shared, do you think there are some very common challenges that they all seem to go through?
Yes, most of our students are very young. Yeah, they're quite young, and when you are young, your access to lots of different resources is very much limited. You have an advantage on one side. You have the energy. You have this drive to change things and to have a positive impact. That's a positive thing. But when it comes to your networks, your resources, you are limited because you are just joining. You are just coming up. That's, I think, the biggest challenge for them. Like where to get the resource they need and how. And also, the experience of selling yourself, selling your business is not yet there. That I see those challenges. I think that's the beauty of being in business school, studying entrepreneurship. It will give you that platform, to express yourself. It will challenge you to develop the skills. We challenge our students to go out, to connect with people, and will also give you a chance to work with your colleagues, with your classmates. All those things help, but still, you can say that some students really struggle with accessing resources. But also, there is also a university. You are studying, therefore you are a student. Then there is a pressure that comes from that side. Balancing those all things with the business part is not as such easy. That I think probably that's the biggest challenge. But I think most students were able to manage it very well.
All right. Okay. And what resources or networks do you think the university offers to support student entrepreneurs, and how can students take full advantage of them?
Oh, that's a good question. I know we have really lots of different programs which would support our students to network with other students or people from the industry. If you go to this e-challenge competitions, e-challenge by itself is basically designed for for students to develop their idea further and to work with a mentor. A mentor will be assigned by the university, and also it will also kind of give you that platform to connect with other external people. We have a program called Tech E-Challenge. If you are into tech and if you have some opportunity ideas, you can actually join that and you can develop further the idea. You can get support, mentors and connections. We have lots of other platforms as well, which are being run by different parts of the school. I think there are so many resources. The resources from the university, but also resources that we can tap in from external sources. Right. We have such a strong and good collaboration with Stone and Chalk here. We have good collaboration with government offices, and we give them internship opportunities because of our relationship or those stuff. Those internship opportunities, those chances to present your opportunity, your business to external stakeholders, I think really is helping students, and I believe that they are also there for anyone who's really interested to get advantage of them.
All right, thank you for sharing that. Earlier in our chat, you mentioned how having an entrepreneurial mindset is something that is not limited to just people who are in business school.
Yes.
Everyone needs it in their day-to-day life. And I'm asking this as someone who is not in the business school. How do you think students who have no prior business experience or background can get started on their entrepreneurial journey?
This is nice. This is what really inspires me. Uh, Entrepreneurship is all about solving problems. Uh, we pride ourselves by this. It's not a complicated science. It We are driven by creating value, and if you want to create value, basically you have to start with a problem. Then I would challenge anyone. What's the problem that you are facing daily?
Yeah.
Or what's the problem that you see other people really, facing in their day-to-day life? Or is there something that really concerns you? Then what can you do about it? That's what entrepreneurship is. It's just to be aware of yourself, to be aware of your environment, and then to find that one really problem which you think needs to be solved. It doesn't need to be business oriented or I don't know, space or whatever. It can be anything, as long as you can actually bring some sort of solution to a problem. That's what entrepreneurship is. Therefore, you don't need to study entrepreneurship to be an entrepreneur, but you need to be able to solve a problem to be an entrepreneur. When you have that ability, that mindset, which really helps you to gather all your resources and combine them in a unique manner to solve a given problem, we can call you as an entrepreneur. Therefore, if you are coming from a background where never had any exposure to business or entrepreneurship course, I would say you can still be an entrepreneur. What you just need is to have the mindset first, what we were discussing, to be open to things, to challenge yourself, to be self-starting, to be future-oriented, and also to persevere. You need that mindset. And you have to demonstrate, you have to show that in the way that you deal with problems. When you are able to overcome a problem, when you are able to solve a problem in a manner that really satisfies the person who is receiving your product, which is the solution, then we call that is an entrepreneurship. Therefore, you don't need that background. As long as you are really concerned about one problem, and as long as you believe that you can contribute in solving that problem, you can actually do it.
All right, thank you.
Yeah.
And where do you think innovation and commercialization sits in all of this?
Yes, that's okay. When you take it to the next step, it's about, you have to benefit from what you do, and you have to also benefit the society that you would like to serve. And to reach a wider society, you need to commercialize it. You need to, I'm sorry.
No.
He didn't know. Okay. Oh, I can start.
You can restart.
Okay, good. The question was about innovation and
Commercialization.
Yes, sorry. Innovation is critical. Okay, let me start from there. Innovation is critical. When it comes to entrepreneurship, we cannot think entrepreneurship without innovation, because we believe that entrepreneurs are those who try to do things in a different and unique manner. Therefore, uniqueness is basically the result of innovation. Therefore, innovation is such an important and integral part of entrepreneurship. But you can innovate great product, service, if you cannot deliver it to the user, it becomes useless in a way.
Yeah.
Therefore, commercialization is also crucial. Commercialization is not just about generating income, generating revenue for the company. Commercialization is also it's a pathway for you to reach to your target customers. It's a challenging step. The first few steps are really challenging by themselves, like finding the opportunity, developing the product, and opening up your door for business is not an easy step. But even when you overcome that, there is another important challenge that you have to overcome, which we call commercialization. The commercialization, as I've said, is an opportunity for you to reach your target customers, and it also helps you to scale up your business. If you want to reach more, broader community, broader market, then it's that commercialization that allows you to do that. Therefore, commercialization is part and parcel of the overall process. Particularly, it becomes crucial when you decide to reach a broader community, a broader market, and it's also kind of feedback for you as an entrepreneur. You might say, I have a good evidence suggesting that my product is in demand, but when you take it to the market through different commercialization strategies, the way the market responds to your product is a good feedback for you as an entrepreneur, whether you need to tweak it a little bit, whether the product that you developed is really kind of very well received by the market. Therefore, it's a response, it's a feedback, but it's also such an important tool for you to reach your target customers.
Yeah. Seems like you really need to be aware of your target audience and also the problems that are in your surroundings so that you can actually come up with solutions for that. In that aspect, how would you say leadership and teamwork play in this?
Yes. Entrepreneurship is such a unique space. Sometimes it can go solo. Therefore, basically, you are everything. You are, the master. You have to act like, a leader. You have to lead yourself, and you have to act as a team sometimes. But in most cases, if we say really entrepreneurship is a result of teamwork, therefore that's why we have so many partnerships, so many companies with lots of different co-founders. Teamwork is an engine. I consider it as an engine. You have to challenge the team every time. The team should our environment is, let me put it this way, we live under uncertainty, as I've said when we start this conversation. That means basically customers' wants and preference would change every time.
Yeah.
And you cannot predict the outcome of whatever that you are trying to do today. It would give you a positive outcome, or it would become negative. Then the question is, if you are in a team kind of setup, that's an opportunity for you to push out other members of your organization to produce something better, something that can give you a better outcome. But to do that, leadership is important. If you are in that leadership position, you should assume that role, and your role is not to act as an autocratic leader, who can actually tell everyone what to do and how they have to do it. It's a role where you explore the environment, you become aware of the moving parts, and you bring all those information to your team, and you challenge them to be creative in the ways they do, and you also encourage them to come up with new ideas. Therefore, leadership, we call it entrepreneurial leadership. It is a leadership where we give space to our team members to be creative, and it's a space, it's a role where that helps other members to be leaders by themselves. You shouldn't be intimidated by someone from your team who is kind of manifesting that leadership attribute in the team. If you are intimidated by that kind of behavior, you are not an entrepreneurial leader. An entrepreneurial leader is someone who capacitates, someone who actually encourages everyone to be a leader in that team. You can only get the result that you want when you encourage your team to be leaders by themselves, leaders in the team. And when you create them, when you give them the space to be free and creative, and also, to when you are able and, willing to give them that decision making power. If you are controlling everything, that's not entrepreneurial leadership. It won't take you to the kind of leadership, destiny that you are looking for. Therefore, leadership is a crucial part in this process, I would say.
Yeah, all right. Early in our conversation, you also mentioned that one of the primary challenges that students face while in university is balancing studies and their uni responsibilities with entrepreneurial ambitions. So, what advice would you give to these students?
Yes, I think it's all about managing your time. Yes, the business has its own demand, and courses have their own demand. I'm not denying the fact that the demand is a little bit too much sometimes. But if you are really good at managing your time, I think you still have quite adequate time to really deal with all the challenge that comes from both sides. Therefore, for me, I have lots of conversations with my students. I like those kind of conversations, and I tell them that, okay, how many hours are you spending on your social media, or watching movies? Can you get, or can you try to take 5-10% each day from your social media and put it to your business? And if those small adjustments and readjustments in your schedule, in everyday calendar, make a big difference. Therefore, I don't really, I'm not a guy who recommends making transformative change every day in everything. Make a small change. As I've said, social media could be one issue. Movie could be another one, or simply could be about chatting with your friends. How many hours did you spend? Therefore, it's about being mindful of where you spend your time. If you are able to really, find a balance amongst all those things, there is, I think, adequate time to deal with all the challenges.
I think that's advice that I can take for myself. Thank you so much for talking to us today. This has been very lovely. I think we all learned a lot from talking to you today.
Great.
Yeah, thank
Great.
you.
Great. Thank you very much.
Wow, that was so fascinating and enriching. Entrepreneurship is a journey filled with highs and lows, but the rewards can be so tremendous. Fortune favors the bold, doesn't it?
We hope this episode has inspired you to take the plunge and explore the world of entrepreneurship. Remember, the best time to plant a seed, the best time to plant a tree was 20 years ago. The second best time is now.
And that's all for today's episode of the Proverbial Perspectives. Until next time, keep dreaming big and taking action.
And don't forget, a journey of 1,000 miles begins with a single step.
That's all for today. Keep listening to our podcast and we'll see you at our next episode. And signing off is Yazhini and
Simran.
bye.